when you're considering transfer equipment, do you do auto or manual transfer? You know, again, is it one of those systems you want to have that nobody has to think about? It just starts the generator automatically and transfers over the load automatically? Or do you have a manual transfer switch that somebody would have to go and say, yep, turn this one on, turn this one off? So when you are looking at transfer switches, you have the size of the transfer switch for the load requirements. You know, how big does that transfer switch have to be to meet the electrical load duty, fault duties, things like that. When you're controlling and monitoring it, or there are certain control and monitoring aspects of it, again, auto or manual, do I have open or closed transition? What open transition is, if there's an outage, that obviously there's an outage and then the generator starts and you transfer over in a certain period of time. 10 seconds is a typical starting time. But when you're coming back and the utility is there and the generator is running, you can have an open transition, which means you shut the generator off and then go back to the utility. Or a closed transition is there's no outage. The generator and the utility come together and you don't see any type of blink in the lights when it's returning. How am I going to start the generator? What's the reason for starting it? You know, how do I want to do it right away? Do I want to give it a couple of minutes? Do I want to exercise the generator periodically? Transfer switches could do that for me. Do I want to have status of the transfer switch or switches and metering? And what kind of load am I running? Is that helpful information to me? Where am I going to locate it? Is it going to be close to the load, close to the generator? Is it easy to install it where my existing electrical infrastructure is? Do I want multiple transfer switches? So if I put a generator in and the load's bigger than I thought, or I want to have the ability to put a smaller generator in and share different loads, I could have multiple transfer switches and then selectively choose what loads I wanted to pick up. So I can keep my capital investment a little lower. Other ways to do it are interlocks. So you could have a switching scheme that would prevent you from closing one device before you've opened another device. And then other ways that it's done is, particularly if there was no generator in mine there, and you saw a lot of this in Sandy, that they'd cut away the electric supply and put cables in where the electrical supply cables were. That's just what I'm calling cable swap.